We are actually counting down the days until fall camp begins, which is about 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away, as we are sitting right now in a recruiting dead period. But recruiting has not stopped as they're still rolling for the Huskers. Also, I have some good news to share with you when it comes to the number one offensive tackle as well as a top 5 running back out of California. So make sure you stay until the end as you don't want to miss the news on that. Now, the Huskers have over 20 commitments at this time. And of course, we won't know if they all will commit and sign until December. But let's see what else the Huskers have in their hat and what needs they really need to be looking at right now, even though they're sitting over 20 commitments. When it comes down to nailing down to positions Rule really needs to recruit at this time, mainly for his first year, to me, it's offensive and defensive tackle. These two are a big concern, and they definitely are something they hope to be grabbing one or two of to solidify those positions. But let me tell you what they can do and who can help in one of these areas of need if they end up not getting that tackle on either side of the ball. Now, before I discuss this, I wanted to tell you about the Big Red Country Club that you can join, where you can have your remarks or your questions answered and responded on right here on each video. In-depth conversations with other Husker fans or college football fans, as well as Husker home game tickets given away to the members every year, plus much more. So become a member today by clicking on that join button you see right below the video, right next to the channel name. So let's show the world how faithful college football fans are. Now, let's get straight into the video. If you didn't know it, the Huskers currently have commitments from 3 interior offensive linemen in Gibson Pyle out of Texas, Landon Davidson out of Colorado, and Jake Peters out of Iowa. But there's an obvious hole on the offensive line that Rule and Raiola needs to look at and consider and be recruiting for, as the Huskers are in dire need of an offensive tackle. Right now, the Huskers are looking pretty good at a couple of top offensive tackles that have already visited Lincoln. One is 4-star offensive tackle Preston Tomua out of Hawaii. Tomua took an official visit to the Lincoln back on June 19th, and Rule and the school made a big impression on Preston, as now I feel Tomua is leaning towards Nebraska now. And we'll know pretty soon, as Preston stated he'll be making his decision on July 16th. Now, the recruiting sites favor Oregon, and Oregon is where he's been leaning for a while. And it did look like Oregon would probably get him. And yes, he could still commit there, but he made some great connections with a couple of other commitments for Nebraska. And I feel those commitments are going to be the difference for the Huskers, and the reason why I feel like the Huskers will probably get Tomua. Now, if Tomua commits to the Huskers, this will give Rule and Raiola that needed offensive tackle this line needs, and would fit nicely into the offensive linemen they already have got commitments for. Another top recruit that the Huskers are looking to grab is 4-star offensive tackle Grant Brix out of Iowa. Brix is the number 1 player out of Iowa, and he is also he also has a strong connection with some of the Husker commitments. So Bricks is another I feel the Huskers will probably grab. Now, getting both would be nice, but if they could at least grab one of these two, that's definitely going to be a step in the right direction. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Huskers end up getting both Tomua and Bricks, but it wouldn't surprise me if they got neither one of them also. So what is Rule and Raiola going to do if the Huskers cannot grab any offensive tackles? Well, Gibson Powell might be the answer and might be the best option and the most logical answer, as Powell is almost 6'5", sits around 275 pounds right now, and has a great wingspan. Powell also received some great news this week as he earned an invitation to the All-American Bowl, an invitation he has been dreaming of for a long time and for a while. Powell earned this invitation while competing in the Football University Top Gun Camp, and he performed extremely well, well enough to earn his invitation to the All-American Bowl, in which only 5 out of the nearly 600 players earned an invitation. During this Football University Top Gun camp, Powell demonstrated that the Huskers might already have their offensive tackle, as Powell outperformed and outplayed against bigger, faster defensive linemen during this competition, which showed Rule and Raiola that he already has the footwork, the quickness, and the strength to play offensive tackle. It might not be the most ideal plan, but it's definitely an option for Coach Raiola. Now, on other notes, a couple of 2024 Husker commits have received an increase in their recruiting status. First one is running back Kewan Lacey out of Texas. If you remember my last couple of videos, I discussed how I felt Lacey was another player these recruiting sites were overlooking and under-evaluating, as Lacey is a lot better than most think. I guess they started listening to me and started getting on the same page with me, as 0-3 just raised Lacey to a 4-star status, which boosted him into the top 300. This made Lacey now the 298th overall player in the 2024 class. Also, another Husker commit that moved up and is also now in the top 300 is 4-star defensive back Mario Buford, who is another player out of the state of Texas. Buford is now considered the 204th best player in the 24 class and is a 4-star DB overall. Another Husker commit that saw a huge jump in their recruiting status is 4-star defensive lineman Carlin Jones. Jones went from the 473rd player to the 258th player in this class. Now, potential Husker commit Grant Bricks that we just talked about has also moved up. He moved up to the 52nd player, and he's considering the Huskers, like I said, but he's also considering K-State and Oklahoma, which he hasn't really stated when he's going to announce that, but rumor has it he is going to announce it and make a commitment before his senior season begins. So I expect that probably within the, if not within the next couple of weeks, within the next month. The Huskers have also been talking to another player out of Texas, one that quarterback commit Daniel Kalen brought to Rule's attention after playing in a 7-on-7 camp earlier this month. That is athlete and potential slot receiver Derek McFall out of Tyler, Texas. Now, as far as I know, the Huskers haven't offered McFall a scholarship yet, and with the Huskers sitting at 23 commitments already, with a couple other bigger needs looking to commit in them offensive tackles, it's possible that they might not offer McFall, as the Huskers are sitting pretty good at receiver. And I know being an athlete doesn't mean he has to play receiver, but I feel with Bricks and Tomuwa close to committing, this might mean that McFall might just fall through the cracks, no pun intended, due to the scholarship restrictions. I would hate this because after looking at McFall, you know, he's a four-star athlete, one of those speedy, quick guys that Rule loves, and is ranked just outside the top 300. But it wouldn't surprise me if Rule went ahead and offered this young man, because I feel Rule's one of these take what he could get, as with the transfer portal, and you really don't know if all these commitments will sign come December. So it might be one of those that he goes ahead and offers this young man and deals with a scholarship problem next year when the time comes, if that problem pops up. McFall also has the right tools Rule is looking for, and the Huskers are not just in position to just turn down top talent. So I feel that's something that Rule might go ahead and do, and I feel like and hope he does end up offering this young man, which doesn't mean this young man's going to commit to Nebraska, as he has other offers already. But quarterback commit Daniel Kalen noticed McFall, like I said, during that 7-on-7 camp that both of them were playing at, and both McFall and Kalen seemed to have a great connection during that workout. And after returning from that to Lincoln, Daniel told Rule about McFall and the connection they had throughout this camp. And the one thing we know is that there's nothing better than having your quarterback and a receiver on the same page. So that's another reason why I'd say be looking out for the possibility of Rule snatching up McFall and a possible another wide receiver. Now, onto the news I discussed earlier about the top two players out of California in offensive tackle Brandon Baker, the #1 offensive tackle in the nation, and his teammate running back Nate Frazier, both play for the same high school out of Santa Ana, California, and both visited the Huskers and Lincoln back in March during that big March recruiting weekend, with Baker also coming back during the spring game. And each time they both loved what they saw from Nebraska and from the city itself and the state of Nebraska. So as of today, we found out that the Huskers are still in the running for these two players, as they are still on their list. Yes, it is a long shot to snatch either one of these guys, not because they don't see Nebraska as a good fit, but more because of the problems the Huskers have shown over the last few years of winning. Top recruits want to win, and they want to go to a winning program. And the Huskers are just lacking in this area, and it's been that way now for, 5 or 6 years? So you're thinking these players, these recruits that are sitting at around 16, 17, maybe 18 years old, means they were like 11 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old at the most the last time the Huskers did anything, and even that wasn't great. And that was the last time they even made a bowl. So it's kind of hard to grab players like that when you're just not winning. So it could be another year or two before you start seeing players like Baker and Frazier really consider giving the Huskers a shot at a commitment. But don't count them out, as you never know, especially if Rule and this Husker team start winning this year in 2023. Now, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and hit that thumbs up button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Go Big Red.